and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to House of Ella TV. If you're new here, this is your first time seeing my face. Hi, my name is Ella and I'm a Nigerian lifestyle YouTuber that make her content all the way from Kaduna State, which is in the northern part of Nigeria here in West Africa. In today's video, I will be doing a reaction video to Dinah Ekweme's video on how being raised in a broken home can destroy and damage a human being. And I'll be sharing my story not because I want to talk, but because I want to teach you something. If you are raised by a single parent, or if you grew up in a broken home, I believe you can relate. And if at all you are going through difficulties, then after watching this video you should learn how to stay strong for yourself. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly click on the subscribe button and help us to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year 2021. So if that sounds like what you want to know or what you want to see or hear, then you have to keep watching this video. Guys, you're welcome back to this video. I hope you have subscribed to my YouTube. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so this is a reaction video after watching Dinah Ekweme's video on YouTube on the impact that being raised in a broken home or a separated home can have on the children. I'm here to share my own experience. Now, a lot of my friends, this is going to sound so shocking to them because this is a part of me that nobody knows. This is a part of me that nobody except my siblings and maybe one or two close people know about me. I will be sharing this story to teach you, to encourage anyone who is in my situation to cope and be strong for yourself. Now, growing up was not easy, it was not funny, it was not rosy. That's why when people say you're a strong woman, they will not understand what made me strong. Now, I grew up basically in the hands of my mom. A lot of people are going to now relate why you always talk about your mom and never talking about your dad. Yes, I stopped having that fatherly care, that fatherly love when I was 7, and my father made it look like being a girl child was a disadvantage. Being a girl child was a curse. That was what he made me feel. That was how he made me feel. And there is this thing that there's this relationship usually between the first daughter and the dad. I had that growing up. I had that wonderful relationship going on between me and my dad, not until he pulled out of my life. And after he pulled out, I'm not coming to tell you the story of what really happened, but my dad pulled out from our lives, from my life, and basically from our lives when I was 7. And that gave me a big wound in my heart. It gave me a big wound, a big scar that I don't know what can actually wipe it out except God. Now, growing up, having your dad always there for you before you were 7, and then getting to when you were 7, he pulled out of your life on the excuse that he doesn't have anything to do with female children, he needs a male child. That is because in Igbo culture where I come from, if a woman keeps having female children and no male child, the family of the man, if he's not from a good family, starts pressurizing him to get another wife to have male children. Because especially if it's in my father's case where he was the only son, of course everybody was looking up to him to have sons that will replace him or take after him, but the sons were not just coming. Now they made him believe that female children are useless, and he danced to that tune. I have 2 sisters, and he left as soon as my second sister was born. He never came to see the child. Like, he just left, and was the last thing I remember him saying was wine or sopa. Every time wine. That attitude, those words got into my heart, and I grew up with it. Now, growing after 7 years was horrible because I saw every man as a traitor. Now, I'm going to be starting with the emotional impact. It was a whole lot of stress for me growing up because men are human beings that you will see in every aspect of your life. But then I had a very bad experience from a man, so I did not just want to see them again in my life. If it was possible, I could just live this whole life not having a man in my life. Now, growing up, primary school was fun because I was going from home to the house. I don't know how my sisters battled with theirs, but I am sharing a personal experience of how I battled with mine. Now, growing up, getting to college, high school, I mean, the one we call secondary school here in Nigeria, and meeting a lot of boys, it was difficult to relating with them, because now I feel that all of them are evil, all of them are bad. They are just going to, at one point or the other, pull out of your life and mess you up again. So I just did not want to get close or have anything to talk about with you. Don't even just stay very far, like just stay very far. A lot of my secondary school mates are going to relate to the fact that, okay, was that why she was very hostile? Yes, guys, I did not have that cuddling, that fatherly care. Yeah, so it really there were people who played the father role in our lives, but it's not as the same as you having your biological dad. Every day you go to school, you come back, you meet him at home. His job did not give him the time to always be at home, even before he left. But then, even when he left, it became more difficult. And knowing that there was no concrete reason why he left, he just pulled out because he didn't have a male child, and now made I and my two sisters to feel that being female is a disadvantage. Being female is something that should not be talked about. And that is what has given me the courage in this life to say that, okay, my father and his people felt that being a female child is a disadvantage. Then I'm going to prove to the world. I'm not just proving to his family, I'm not just proving to Imo State people, I am proving to the world at large that being a female child is as good as being a male child. And that is why I am working extremely hard. Now, my emotions were toyed with, my emotions were messed up, and that made me, I usually do fall into the wrong kinds of men, because I'm scared. A lot of people know me with this thing that I'm too scared of making mistakes. So in that verge of making mistake, I usually do fall into that mistake, because what you fear is what will come to you. Now, I usually saw myself into those mistakes that I never wanted to make. Okay, so I grew up like that. I survived secondary school anyhow, manageably survived. I got into the university. Now, that was a bigger environment where there's no how you won't get to talk to men or have a relationship with men. There's no how. So when I got into the university, the first day my mom dropped me off and was going, I saw her off to the park, and while I was trying to go back to the hostel, I ran into this good man. Yes, there are still good men, irrespective of what I went through. I ran into this good man who was like, hello, hi, can we be friends? Yes, if he's watching this video, he will just recall those words he used. And those things he said actually got me angry, like totally angry. Like, I'm like, is that how you people behave? You just see someone? I became hostile again. But you know what? This guy was a good guy, because he took his time. And was like, for this girl to be so style, that means a lot has happened to her. He took his time, came closer, and after the interaction that first day, the second day I went to school, and unfortunately or fortunately, he was sitting behind me, and lo and behold, we were in the same class. So he was my classmate, and there was no way I could run away. So he came closer and wanted to date me, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready to have any relationship right now. And he said, okay, I'll wait for you till when you're ready. That guy became a thorn in my flesh, but I think at some point he understood that I've been traumatized, and he wanted to find out what it was. So he became too close, and he was so patient with me, learning me, studying me, trying to understand me, and all of that. And it actually did work for him. Now, when he came too close, it was time now, like we became like family, and he needed to visit my parents. Yeah, I remember my parents. A lot happened, and I had to stand up for myself and be like, mommy, what really went wrong? My mom could not explain. I said, okay, I have to go and look for my father. This guy that I told you I met was the one who introduced me to a good church, Living Faith Church in Okaden, where I had to go and get myself a personal pastor. I got born again. I met God. I saw light, and I found myself a spiritual backup. That my pastor, who was so close to me, he was a man, but because Prince, the guy, had tried to change my perspective about a lot of things. Men are not evil, not all men are evil. He tried to teach me that, and I learned that. So I had to get myself a pastor who I can at least share my problems with, and it will help me out spiritually. So when I met my pastor, I had to open up and tell him, this is what I've been battling with. But I have a friend who has tried his best to help help me out. So what do? My pastor now prayed with me and encouraged me to go and seek my dad, and I should locate him and ask him what the problem is, which I did. Yeah, I went in search of him and I saw him and we talked, and there was still no concrete reason why he walked away from our lives. I'm like, do you know you have rendered me useless? You've like messed my life up. My emotions were messed up. My intellectual aspect was a wreck, because while I was in secondary school, sometimes I'll just be away from this world. I just wanted to think, and nothing was coming out of my thinking. I kept thinking, I kept imagining, and that time I'm using to think is the time that I was supposed to be reading. So you can imagine, there was even a time I was so pained that I had to even come very close to the last position in the class. That's because I lacked concentration. I was thinking of a lot of things. How am I going to grow up like this? What am I going to, what will people think of me? But my mom on the other side was being there, being a mother, being a father. It was not easy for her as well. Now, my spiritual life as well was messed up. Remember, I said my emotional life, my intellectual life, and my spiritual life was messed up, in the sense that when nothing happened and one parent left the house, we started praying. We started going from place to place to pray. And I remember sometimes my mom would even be sleeping in the bush, praying on the mountains and all of that. And it seemed like nothing was happening. Then I now told myself that if we have been praying for almost 7 years and nothing was happening, then there is no God. Honestly, because if there was a God, then he should have heard and answered us. But that was a mistake I made, because there is a God in heaven who sees and sees and sees. So if you're praying and God is not doing what you want him to do, then just know that thing is not a perfect thing for you, because if it were, then God would have showed up in that case. So when God did not show up, I lost my spiritual life. I was this person that loved God. I was raised in a Catholic home, so we loved God and we were brought up like to love God effortlessly. And when I got into the university, I felt like, okay, this is my life now. For me to hide a lot of things, I have to be in the convent. I went to a convent where I wanted to join them and become a reverend sister. At least it will save me from a man saying this, that. I just wanted to run away from a lot of things. But when I got to the convent, they asked me if I was a virgin. Now a lot of you are going to say, where is this one done? Yes, so it happened to me. They asked me if I was a virgin. I said yes, I was a virgin. I hadn't known any man, and they were like, no, they would not admit. I went there with my best friend, who I shared the story of how she died of sickle cell. Yeah, they told us that because we are virgins, we have not tested the word and all of that, they will not accept us. I don't know if they were joking or something, but that was what they said, that they don't want to accept us because we might one day desire to go away and test the word, and that we should just go when we feel like we have tested that other side and we are sure it's God that we want to serve. We should come back. So I was like, oh, even the church deserted me, even the church rejected me. Oh my goodness, that was where I lost my spiritual life totally. So that was what happened, and it was a total mess. Now my advice to people is, one thing you have to take home is that at this point in my life, I did not let what I have been through get into me. I've had good relationships, even though they didn't end up in marriage. I just was not complaining, because they are not the one for me. The one for me, God is preparing him. Yeah. So I did not even attribute, I don't even used to remember my upbringing when it comes to my relationship, because I can really tell you that I'm that good girlfriend that any man can keep. And when we break up, or usually when we separate, or when we say it's not working, let's just go our separate ways, I'm still in good contact with most of my exes, even the ones that are married. I'm still in good contact with them, because you don't know who will help you tomorrow. I've helped a lot of them, and some of them have helped me, both anyhow, financially and otherwise. So it's not like I can't even remember having a breakup and I keep malice to the person, or I'm not talking to the person. But it doesn't work out. We can just separate, and that is it. So now the message here is, don't let what you're going through define you. Don't let what happened to your parents or your background or your home happen to you. A lot of people have repeated that mistake. I am not ready to repeat that mistake. That's why it seems like I'm taking too much time trying to be sure that this is what I want, and I'm going in for this, and I'm going in with this person, and because I want to have a glorious home. My background has never really affected my relationship with men. Yeah, it has never really affected, because I don't always remember it. I don't always put it in my mind that, okay, oh, because my parents do not work, mine will not work. So if you are raised in a broken home, please don't let that define you. A lot of people who are raised in broken homes have made the same mistake that their parents did make, and have wrecked their home as well. So if you are one of those people who are victims of a broken home, please do not let it define you. Do not let it get into you. Do not let it, be part of you. Do not let it reoccur in your life. Try to be strong for yourself, groom yourself, correct the mistakes that your parents did make, and move on. I'm sharing this story so you can pick courage and pick yourself up again, and tell yourself that you can do better despite your parents not doing well. You can do better. If there was a misunderstanding, like you heard, my both parents, the only thing I understood from them was that my dad needed a male child. It was not coming, and it was not a woman thing to determine the sex of a child. That's one thing people fail to understand, especially in this Nigeria, and especially in the Igbo culture. They fail to understand that it is not a woman's thing to dictate the sex of a child. It's the man's. As much as God gives his children, if you refuse to accept the fact that God is the one that gives children, then know that it is a man that has the X and the Y chromosome. A woman only has the X and the X chromosome. So she is not the sole determinant of the sex of a child. But sometimes Igbo people do not know how to reason well. Once you have the first one, girl, 5 or 6 girls, you're already shaking, your marriage is shaking, and your life is going to be messed up if your husband is not a strong-willed kind of man who will allow, sometimes they allow their parents, their families to pressurize them into getting another wife, and the first wife will not always be happy, or she will just live a miserable life, blaming herself all year round that she's the problem in the marriage. Okay, so if you are planning on getting married, please talk about this thing with your spouses to be. Make sure that you are getting married to someone whose sex of a child will not be a problem to him. Okay, and then if you're already in a your parents already separated, stay strong for yourself. Call them at intervals. Try to find out what the problem is. If they both do not want to talk, then let it go. Let it be. No problem. But make sure you do not repeat the same thing that has happened to them. Don't replicate it in your lives, because a lot of them, I'm okay mentally, because there was no fighting at any point, there was no fracas at any point. I never saw them quarreling, I never saw them raising bottles or anything, but I just did not have that emotional care and support from a father figure in my life. So that's the only thing I can call a problem. But some people who come from a home where the father fights the mother or the mother fights the father, they usually end up fighting their husband, thinking that it's normal. So it has this mental effect or psychological effects on the children, right? So please, let's be strong for ourselves, let's stay focused, let's do the right things, and don't let the mistakes of your parents haunt you or come after you or be repeated in your lives. Stay strong for yourself. Dinah, I'm really grateful that you were able to share your story, and I thank you, because it has made this a story I'd always wanted to share. I know on a good day I could share the real in-out story, but this video is just to encourage someone who is raised in a broken home to please stay strong for yourself, love yourselves, pamper yourselves, still love your both parents. At some point in my life, I had to forgive my dad, because he made me to feel that, okay, being a female child is a sin, is an evil thing. But that is why I have decided to stay strong. See, the thing I'm working towards right now is to become the Minister of Health in Nigeria. I mean, to become the Minister of Health in Nigeria, or in any country where I'll be based. I'm going to go that far so that I will be able to prove to the world or to my village people that being a female child is not a disadvantage at all. And I am here to teach the younger generation that if you are a female child and you are being rejected by your dad or anybody from his family, you're being maltreated, you're not being taken care of, please stand tall for yourself and know that you are not a disadvantage at all. So at this point, I've talked a lot. If you know you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly click on that subscribe button and let's move to 1,000 subscribers. Share this video. Let whoever needs to hear me until I come your way next time. Stay safe, stay happy. I love you.